Hello guys and welcome to Football Fan Den UK. How are you doing? Hope you're having a cracking day. The weather's been smashing over the last few days. It's cooled off a bit today, so a bit of relief for some of us because for me personally it's been quite nice to enjoy the weather, but the hay fever has played me up a little bit, but not to worry. It's always nice to have some what you might call Mediterranean weather. So yeah, hope you guys have been enjoying it because we don't always get it. So you've got to make the best of it when it comes. Today's video is about the UK clubs in Europe. Adventures continue for the Scottish teams, and we've had Wolves now join the qualifying stages. As well as I believe another team I am not familiar with, which is Crusaders. I'm not sure if I don't know a lot about them, to be honest, guys. So another team I need to learn more about. But they are a Northern Irish team, so I believe. And they was involved in the qualifying stages playing Wolves. So yeah, guys, let's crack on. First, we start with the Champions League. Celtic got an absolutely smashing result against Kalju, I believe they're called, of Estonia, which was a 5-0 victory for Celtic. Five quite different goals, actually. I think one was a penalty, if I remember rightly, because I've only been able to catch some of the highlights due to work commitments. I did want to watch more. But unfortunately, I can only get Scottish games when I'm at home. Getting them when you're out and about is not the easiest of things, because down here in England, the mainstream media don't really give it a lot of coverage, which I think is a bit of a disgrace, really, because they are part of the UK. So you would think national radio stations would cover it, and to my knowledge, I cannot find one that is giving fair coverage to Scottish teams, which is, like I say, is a bit out of order. So, but yeah, I've watched the highlights of that game due to the fact that I was out and not able to watch the whole game. But yeah, it looks like Celtic had an absolute cracker. They did get a variety of goals. One, I think, was a penalty. One was from a free kick. Maybe I think it was the second one as well from a free kick. I'm not 100% sure. You guys up there in Scotland will be able to correct me on that if I'm wrong. But yeah, they got a good variety of goals from different scoring positions, which is absolutely awesome going forward for the season for Celtic. Getting goals on the score sheet, getting different players on the score sheet, and also getting some confidence going and some fitness ready for the start of the season going forward. So yeah, an absolutely awesome result for Celtic. So they should hopefully be able to go and get that wrapped up in the second leg, which will be away in Estonia. But I don't think they'll have any difficulties, especially considering the fact that they got such a cracking result for the first leg. Now we move on to the UEFA Cup, guys. And we start with Rangers. Rangers got a good result, 2-0 against Progress, I believe they're called, of Luxembourg. They actually, the highlights that I saw, they looked like they were dominating. They just weren't very clinical in front of goal. Plenty of efforts on goal, just unfortunate not to get one or two more, which would have been absolutely awesome for the second leg. But I think Rangers will have enough to get this over the line in the second leg, guys. Don't like to say, let your thoughts be known in the comments. Because as I say, I think that they'll get that wrapped up in the second leg. But yeah, like I say, they did look like they had plenty of efforts on goal, which is awesome for them. Also getting confidence and getting fluency going. And maybe, like I say, we see this quite regular with some teams at the start of the season, that they can create lots of chances, but not always clinical, putting them in the back of the net. And I think that's sometimes down to fitness, fatigue, obviously getting back into the rhythm of regular competitive games. And I do think it makes things a little bit difficult, as I've implied in previous videos, for the Scottish teams and other teams as well, the Welsh teams and any team from the UK or wherever, to be honest, that has to start in the competition early before they've actually started their domestic season, because the teams haven't got the momentum going yet, have the guys? So obviously, when you're playing a competitive game and then you're playing a friendly and then you're playing a competitive game and then you're playing another friendly, it can like chuck players off the boil a little bit, because obviously, when it comes to the competitive games, the pressure's on, and they're using the friendly games in the middle to try and get fitness up, get minutes in the players' legs, and obviously start building that momentum ready for the start of the domestic campaign. As I said, we also move on. Sorry, now to Aberdeen, who had a pretty decent result away from home. They played a team called Chikura Sakura. So my apologies if I'm pronouncing that wrong, guys. It's not a team I'm familiar with, but they got a 1-1 draw away from home, which I think away from home, that is a pretty positive result. So hopefully they can go back to Aberdeen for the second leg and get that one wrapped up and get through to the next round. So yeah, for me personally, I think that's a pretty decent result away from home. As I say, in the first leg, you really, if you can, me personally, I think it's more ideal if you play the first leg away from home, because as some managers of it imply, it can give you a chance to figure out these teams a little bit that you might not be, your club might not be as familiar with, because they've not played them very often, or not, in some cases, never even played them at all. So yeah, positive result for Aberdeen. As I say, hopefully they can get that one wrapped up in the second leg and get into the next round. Now we move on to Conor Quay of Nomads, which unfortunately that they was at home and they got a defeat, a 1-0 defeat, which is not the end of the world, guys. They can turn that one round. They played a team called Partisans, and they unfortunately, as I say, they lost that game, which is a bit of a disappointing result. But with the second leg still to come, and obviously the away goals and the fact that the other team have only got 1 goal in front might make them a little bit nervous at home. If Conor Quay can pile on the pressure in the second leg and go into it with a bit of confidence and no fear, they might be able to get that one over the line as well. But like I say, with a 1-0 deficit, it is a bit of a tough task to go away, because when you play your home games, you always want to at least get 1 goal on the score sheet to give you a fighting chance. So yeah, now we move on to Wolves, who joined the tournament, which was for them the first time, I believe, in about 30 years, if I'm right. I'm not sure. Wolves fans can correct me on that, but I think it's around the 30 years mark since they've played in Europe. And when they used to play in Europe previously, from what I've learnt, they was actually quite a force to be reckoned with. So hopefully, this year, as they get themselves back in, have got themselves back into Europe and get themselves a feel for the competition, hopefully they can do positive things for UK football in respect of getting positive results and hopefully getting further into the competition, as we want all UK teams to do. So yeah, they played Crusaders, which is also a UK team from Northern Ireland, and Wolves won that game 2-0. So obviously we don't want to on the channel here anyway. We don't want to really have any bias against UK teams. So that one is up in the air for whoever wants to grab it. But I think that Wolves will probably be too strong for Crusaders to turn that result round in their favour. But yeah, interesting tie. It's quite interesting how we've got, these qualifying rounds. There is a lot of teams that have to qualify right across Europe in these early qualifiers. So I find it quite fascinating that already we've had two games where UK teams have come up against each other in the qualifying rounds. Which is obviously, it's nice for fans to see teams that see see the team play against teams that they may be more familiar with because they're a UK team. But obviously, as a football fan of UK clubs generally in Europe, I certainly want to see as many UK teams progress into the group stages and beyond, if it's at all possible. Like I say, on the channel here, guys, we want to support all UK clubs, especially in Europe. So yeah, it's definitely interesting to see whether Crusades will actually put up a bit more of a fight, because as I noticed, what I did see from the highlights, guys, was that I think Wolves and Rangers and I believe Celtic, I'm not sure, I haven't been able to find any highlights of Aberdeen, which is a bit of a shame. But Celtic and Rangers and Wolves definitely had a bit of a tough game in respect of the opposition chucking their defenders right behind the ball and trying to make it hard to be broken down. Not an awful lot of attacking option from them teams going forward to actually make more of a game of it. But this is European football, guys. We know how it works. We know that when you're playing away from home, especially, the key thing is to try and keep the score down, so that give yourself a chance in the second leg if you're at home, especially. So yeah, guys, there was some positive results overall for the UK teams, and hopefully we will see more positive results going forward, and we can get a few of the teams from the UK into the next round, and hopefully see a good few UK teams in the group stages of both competitions. Obviously, with the Champions League, it appears there's only really Celtic that have to qualify for the Champions League, because obviously those of us that are in the know, guys, know that in England 4 teams qualify automatically for the Champions League, so they don't have to go through the palaver of qualifying. That is a new rule that was brought in, I think it was about 2 years ago. So it is a bit of a shame for the Scottish clubs. I do believe, me personally, that the team that wins the leagues should be in the Champions League. And I know that people argue that if you did that, you'd get teams from the Middle East that are not that well recognised going further, getting into the Champions League, and it would make it less interesting, blah de blah. But me personally, I think that's just a bit disrespectful. If a team wins their league, they should be in the Champions League, because it is called the Champions League. So why should they not? Even if we want to still see all these big clubs in it, and they don't qualify by winning their league, we could still have them in it. UEFA could actually improve the competition in respect of just putting a few more group stages in, and actually, if necessary, add an extra round in the knockout stages after the group stages, in which you would actually have, instead of a last 16, you would have a last 32, which would give these clubs the opportunity that are not getting into it automatically by winning their league, the opportunity to make some money, to improve, and basically it could make the competition a bit more interesting, because as I've said before, I think all European football is awesome, and I don't like the fact that some clubs and some fans, I'm sorry if you're one of them, but I will say this, is that some fans do think that the UEFA Cup is a bit of a non-starter for them with respect to a competition they're not that interested in. But me personally, European football is just European football. Obviously, you want to see a team in the Champions League, but if not, I think the UEFA Cup is an awesome alternative. So yeah, guys, we've covered all the teams. Hopefully you've enjoyed today's video, just bringing you a quick update of what has happened over the last few days with respect to European football and UK clubs. Hopefully you've liked the video. As I say, if you are liking what you're seeing, it would be much appreciated if you could subscribe and like and share. That would be a massive help to the channel going forward. So yeah, guys, Thanks for joining me. Hopefully you will join me on the next video, and enjoy the weekend coming forward, and I will see you soon. Take care. Bye.